Can we just talk?
Metro FM Talk with Faith Mangope.
Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
50 minutes after 7 o'clock, let's turn our attention to this particular issue that is happening at the Ad Hoc Committee established to investigate allegations made by South African Police Service KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. They've expressed concerns over the Speaker of Parliament, Thoko Didiza's decision not to grant the committee subpoenas for Brown Mogotsi and O'Sullivan, who requested to give virtual testimony to the committee citing security concerns. Didiza said the committee failed to show that it had adequately dealt with the witness security concerns without appearing in person before Parliament. But are their lives really in danger? Why can't Brown Mogotsi appear before the Ad Hoc Committee? And maybe the question of the day, where is O'Sullivan? Where is he? Different allegations being thrown around regarding O'Sullivan. In fact, some are saying he's not even in the country. Where is O'Sullivan, the infamous O'Sullivan? Let's have a conversation with Mathys, a Member of Parliament and EFF Deputy Secretary General. Lee, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. A very good evening and welcome to Metro FM Talk. Hi, Lee, are you with us? Lee, are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost Lee. Let's get Lee back on the line and we'll continue. Maybe you can also share your perspective as of what you have witnessed before the Ad Hoc Committee. Is it a good idea? Does it leave a certain taste in your mouth that the Speaker of Parliament is saying that the individuals of Brown Mogotsi and O'Sullivan may be granted or may appear virtually because of security concerns? Where do you stand with this one? Give us a call, drop us a voice note. Lee, it looks as though we've managed to get you back. A very good evening and welcome to Metro FM Talk.
Thank you, Faith. It's been a while.
It really has been a while. It's the first time this year. But let's talk a little bit. In fact, before we even go with Brown Mogotsi and O'Sullivan in just a while, because I want us to just deep dive on that. Maybe from your perspective, as you're watching the unraveling, I mean, we've witnessed what has been happening at the Ad Hoc Committee in Parliament. But what is your sense when we're hearing all of these different testimonies, which at the backdrop of it is this presser that happened last year of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi citing that the SAPS has been infiltrated by politicians and criminal syndicates and criminal networks who would not want to see justice served in the country. From your perspective, what's been unfolding and unraveling before your committee? What exactly, how does it land with you and how does it land with the rest of South Africans?
Faith, number one thing that has come out of it is that our top officials across all our criminal justice entities, they love doing sworn statements. And a large amount of our evidence is based on sworn statements. And you'll find a sworn statement on one person saying the sky was orange on that day, and another saying it was purple, and another saying that it was green. So during our deliberations, I think to a large extent it's going to come down to who's more credible. And it also speaks to us, speaks to the fact that the Speaker has not released enough resources, particularly a criminal forensic investigator, which was in our terms of reference as one of the resources that we needed. Also not beefing up the legal team. I mean, literally we've been working with 3 members in the legal team that had to do the statements for all the witnesses that we've seen. I mean, the public submissions that we've had have been quite of a nightmare. But, that's a story for another day in terms of us being able to process the information correctly because the team is incapacitated.
Sure. When the team is incapacitated, does not have adequate resources, how are you supposed to get your work done?
Well, that is such a good point. And we try. Obviously, as the EFF, we will always push, and we are pushing boundaries. And the fact that the issue has come to the attention of the public is because we have been raising it quite often in the committee on what it is that we are going to do. And it looks like it might actually just be a deliberate... I mean, it can't be that Parliament, who is responsible for approving budgets, does not even have resources to be able to do a proper investigation into this matter. I mean, we took a resolution in Parliament to do it. It might have been that the GNU-run Parliament was just responding, and they did not think this ad hoc committee would take off the way that it did, and also just trying to reduce the soundness of our findings, and whatever findings we do find is open to review, and it might just end up being that we have findings and there's not much that can be done to it, but we hope it doesn't come to that. Look, we are there. I mean, the president CRC is the main member on the committee, and we'll keep pushing boundaries as we always do as the EFF.
Well, let's talk a little bit about exactly what transpires out of the ad hoc, because there's been a lot of confusion as to what is the purpose of the ad hoc. We see it all happening and unfolding before our eyes. The Nhlanhla Commission has got recommendations that are non-binding, non-legally binding recommendations. The ad hoc committee can have the similar recommendations, and then what happens? After South Africans have heard all of the stuff that has been unraveled, after South Africans have heard all of the testimonies, have heard all of these individuals that really make us concerned about the state of our security, national security, in whose hands our national security is in. After we have all heard all of the unravelings at the ad hoc committee, is there anybody going to wear orange overalls? Is there anybody going to be arrested?
Well, that is where we want to go to. And we do hope that this ad hoc committee is going to have teeth, and it's not a matter of GNU and the parties just closing ranks and trying to, manage whatever the findings are in regards to that. But what we did when we were setting up the terms of reference is that, once the committee completes its work, does its findings, submits its report, that there will be follow-up. So we do have various portfolio committees. So there's Justice, there's SAPS, there's the IG, so those matters will be referred to those committees to make sure that they do follow up on what are the status of the cases. We really need to give detailed oversight and make sure those departments report to us on the status of whatever it is the findings are, whether they need to open cases, how far the prosecution is, and then we report back to the National Assembly on a monthly basis or 2-monthly basis. We haven't obviously decided on that. So from the part of the EFF, and I think generally from most of the other political parties that are represented there, there is generally that commitment that there needs to be detailed oversight, so we don't find ourselves again in this same situation, or the cycle just continues of the criminality that we are seeing in the criminal justice system.
Let's talk a little bit about closing ranks, because various political parties came out in criticism of the Speaker of Parliament, Thoko Didiza, and the decision to not grant the committee subpoenas for Brown Mogotsi and Paul O'Sullivan. Please talk to us a little bit about that. What was the reason given for this?
Well, we didn't get a proper reason. The Speaker's letter has been widely circulated. The bigger issue there, on the Brown Mogotsi, her response on that, the request or the decision by the committee was just made a couple of days ago. So we can, give us some leniency in that regard. The issue of Paul O'Sullivan, it's been months that we have raised. That man has been sending us long emails to the committee. He even sends emails to journalists, and he CCs the Secretary of Parliament. When we had one of the witnesses appearing before us, he sends them a threatening message. The Speaker has done absolutely nothing about it. We actually don't know where both the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker is. They have not even dropped in at the ad hoc committee just to see what's going on, or even to greet us. So that is exactly what we are dealing with. So number one, she responds very late. Number two, how does she just take the reasons given by Paul O'Sullivan and Brown Mogotsi that there's a security risk? It's not our job as the ad hoc committee to make that call. It should have been hers. And when she saw his response, she should have requested for a security assessment to be done, and fill up her boxes on whatever she needs to be able to issue a summons. From what I also gather is that there seems to be some hesitation that obviously, and I'm sure Paul O'Sullivan will take the matter to court. But that also should not scare us as Parliament. I mean, we are entering a new territory. It's never happened before. So let the courts pronounce on it. Let us go and let us present our case. But we are in a dire state of our criminal justice system. And for us to be plain, and I'm almost said the wrong word here.
Don't take me to the BCCSA.
Not for national radio. Played around. This is not the time to be doing that. It's not the worst thing for us to go to court. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that we acted irrationally in issuing the summons, etc., etc. So be it, but at least we went and we've done everything that we can. She's also not protecting the integrity of Parliament. You cannot have just a citizen that has been running around. He's been accused of impersonating IPID officers. I mean, we even had evidence from McBride that his own IPID officials went with Paul O'Sullivan and his PA to go and do an investigation at someone's house. Where do they enter? So we need answers, and we can't be. It's beyond an understanding on how we are managing or handling or responding to Paul O'Sullivan. Brown Mogotsi is just riding on white privilege, really. So it just happens that he's in the mix. But if Paul O'Sullivan wasn't part of it, Brown Mogotsi would have been dealt with, and there would have been no issue with us issuing a summons. But because Paul O'Sullivan is involved, this is why we find ourselves here.
Lee, as a member of Parliament, as a member of this ad hoc committee, do you know where Paul O'Sullivan is?
No, we don't.
You don't know where Paul O'Sullivan is?
We don't know, and this also comes back again, Faith, to the fact that we don't have, there hasn't been resources to released to the committee, because if we had a forensic investigator, the moment he sent us that email to say that he wants to have a virtual, he's telling us that he will appear virtually. He doesn't even make a request. And our terms of reference is very clear that it's at the discretion of the committee on whether we would grant it or not. But if we did have, then later he comes and he says he's out of the country. So if we had that facility, we were going to release that resources. They go and determine whether he's in the country or whether he's not in the country, or did he disappear from the country when the heat was getting hot and it was intentional. Because one of the emails, first he agreed to do it virtually, then he sends another email, Faith, and he says, no, he's not available virtually, he's only available after, I think it's the 20th of February, and that's the day we are due to submit our report, because he has a long-standing holiday that he had planned, I don't know where. So that's exactly what we are dealing with right now.
So you're dealing with somebody who has been mentioned quite a few times during the Nhlanhla Commission of Inquiry, during the Ad Hoc Committee, an individual whose testimony could give you some kind of understanding as to what exactly is happening within the SAPS and who's given powers and authority to investigate crimes and positions, and who allows for that to happen. You've got an individual where the Ad Hoc Committee does not, you guys don't know where Paul O'Sullivan is. Paul O'Sullivan could be in Switzerland for all we know and may never come back into the country, and and this could be a reality that South Africans live with.
Yes, it could be that he's right next door to Parliament for all we know. Because that's the type of person that we've been dealing with. I mean, he even brags about his involvement in our criminal justice system in his book. Even the title of the book alone. We should be ashamed as South Africans that we have leaders in our criminal justice system, SAPS, IPID, NPA, IDEC, that has allowed someone to even speak about them the way he has.
Do you believe that Paul O'Sullivan is being politically protected?
It can only be that. I don't know what other assessment we can do that would not come to that conclusion. That's why he needs to come to appear before us so we can ask these questions and make a sound analysis based on what it is that or the information he provides.
And if he says, sorry guys, I've moved to the UK, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. Because he can literally say, sorry, I've moved to the UK.
We'll just try and push boundaries on what can happen. But look, we have made a decision as the committee yesterday that his PA, Sarah Jane, who comes up a lot and has also been accused with him in some of the cases to appear before us, So we'll hear from there, and maybe she can shed some light on their involvement. And from what it appears in some of their testimonies that we've received, they were heavily involved in IPID. Robert McBride was also very clear that he got a lot of evidence. He sent or requested a lot of information from Paul O'Sullivan, though he downplayed it to the extent of that sort of information. So IPID was weaponized to a large extent from what it appears. And it's also very early for us to make conclusions, Faith, because every day there's a new witness there and they just shed different light. Some do come with hard evidence beside sworn affidavits. So once you think you can conclude on something, then there's a whole another submission. So we are keeping ourselves open, and we are just trying to avoid talking about the merits of the case at the moment until we've heard all the witnesses.
Let me take a couple of your voice notes.
Faith, Sianda in Cape Town. Look, we will be very dishonest if we were to even think that we've got the capacity to keep witnesses safe. It will be very dishonest of anyone who says that, Faith, because we've got a history of not being able to help witnesses being safe in this country, let alone whistleblowers. So let us not even try to make this thing about the two guys who are supposed to appear. It doesn't matter who the person is. If you have to accord a person's safety in this country to appear in any situation, or especially where there are issues of criminality involved, you can never guarantee that person's safety because we have failed to do that. So there's a ripple effect here, Faith. Our failures in doing the other things correct will have a ripple effect on the other decisions in the future. Let us not be too attached on the fact that it's Paul O'Sullivan or whoever that's appearing. But the fact of the matter, we do not have capacity to keep people safe here. That's the fact.
As Faith, to your crew there, and evening to MP Mathys and everyone else who's listening. You know, as Faith, I was really confounded by what I heard on the news with the speaker calling against subpoenaing the witnesses who should come and testify and be held accountable to the public by a constitutional body that Parliament is. That really shocked me. As Faith, because they are thereby derelicting their duties of oversight. That's, wow, it is out of this world. So now, if they call me to Parliament, I can also furnish reasons not to come. And that should also be granted. That's the precedent they're setting.
I hear you. I hear all of you, especially with also that we cannot pretend that security has been a big concern in South Africa, especially when it comes to protecting witnesses. Babita Deokaran. Today we're talking about Babita Deokaran because that is a clear failure of our ability in protecting people that come forward and just want to do the right thing. I hear you. But is Paul O'Sullivan also fitting within that space of doing the right thing? Where is Paul O'Sullivan? Nobody knows. Can I take Castro in Ekurhuleni? Castro, good evening.
Good evening, Faith. How are you?
I'm good, and you, sir? Your take?
Yes, Faith. I'm not disappointed with the action of the speaker. This is what we know of the ANC of today. Why is Pathani? What happened to Pathani? Did Pathani was Pathani killed by anyone after attending the hearing? Who else was killed by unknown people after attending that Ad Hoc Committee hearings? No one. Why is 7 so special? Because I can tell you now, Faith, if it was only Mogotsi alone, the Thoko Didiza was going to issue that warrant. The subpoena. Sorry. Here it's a way of they have coordinated. It's my belief that they've coordinated this thing just to make as if it's about security for everyone. All of the witnesses went there. No one raised the issue of the security. They managed to participate and assist the committee to find to get to the truth and bottom of the issues that were raised by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi himself went there to go and attend. There was no halabaloo about his security. Why is Paul O'Sullivan? The issue And the moment they are...
Oh, Castro, just move around a little bit for me. We seem to have lost you for a second there.
You hear me now?
Yes, better. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I was saying the unfortunate part is that we are run by the foreign intelligence operatives, whom when they are caught, they are found wanting, they will run and escape back to their masters or their country of origin. That is what the Polo 7 has been telling us, that he's doing is pleased in terms of the removing the commissioners of police, and there's evidence indeed before the Ad Hoc Committee that he has been. When he likes, he becomes a state security officer. When he likes, he's the iPad. The next day, he's going to be the deputy commissioner of the police. So this is who we are.
Sure.
We are nearly said something myself, but we are indeed in trouble in this country.
I hear you, Castro, and I understand the frustration of many South Africans. It's not fair. And especially when you're just an ordinary South African, just trying to do the best that you can to provide for your family, to be a good citizen, and to be a good community member. And you hear that there are allegations of our law enforcement that is within the pockets of crime or criminal networks. That our law enforcement or the highest echelons of law enforcement is in the pockets of criminals. It sends a message that South Africa is being run by criminals. It doesn't send a message that South Africa has got good, strong, ethical leadership. It says South Africa has got leadership that is run by criminals. Maybe, Lee, you can just expand a little bit as to where to from here now. I know that there's the issue of Paul O'Sullivan, but where to from here?
Let me just answer just quickly on the issue of capacity to keep people safe. There's a difference between capacity and intentional failure. Our system, our criminal justice system, it does have capacity to be able to keep whoever they need to keep safe. And if you just go back and use an example of when we had our EFF national shutdown in response to the rolling blackouts we were experiencing in the country, you have never seen the whole entire, there was crime intelligence, everybody that was involved in that kept that properly in order. Obviously they thought that they were dealing with some criminal organization, which we weren't. It was just a lawful protest. But you saw all arms of this justice system, of SAPs, of protection, come out and deal with it. It shows that there is capacity. It's an intentional failure to do that, and that has to do exactly with corruption, police being involved with criminals. The second point is that there hasn't been an assessment done on whether Paul has a security risk and on what level it is. That man has been running around the country. He's been doing interviews back to back. This is before he started doing them virtually. He has even written a book. And there was no problem with his security. Now that he has to come and appear before the Ad Hoc Committee, he runs out of the country and now there's a security threat. So those are all things that we must take into consideration before we just start assuming that he needs to have maximum amount of security here in the country. Now, I have lost my train of thought on what it is you actually asked me.
I was asking you regarding where to from here, Lee.
Well, let's see the outcomes of the committee. Look, the deliberations are going to be very hot. Yesterday I was just talking to some of our ANC colleagues on the committee, and we saw how they closed ranks yesterday when we put forward that Cyril Ramaphosa must come before the committee. I think generally throughout the hearings, there's been a level of soundness from all parties. Obviously there are those that are more sound than others, but generally there has been that desire to get to a desirable or ask the correct questions and find out what the actual answers are. But yesterday you saw that when push comes to shove, there's going to be a closing of ranks. But let's see how it goes. The deliberations will be aired publicly, and it's going to be up to the citizens. And where to from here is that the citizens need to go. They need to go to the ballot. We're going for elections this year, and you're going to accuse me of electioneering. But at the end of the day, we are a people's parliament. We are elected by the public. It's the public, and it's exactly what you were saying earlier about even getting involved with the draft bills that come and be put out and for comment and for input from the public. It's the same thing about voting. Vote for people, give new political parties an opportunity, give the economic freedom fighters an opportunity to run.
Not to campaign right now. You are on the right track. But I have to leave it here this evening. As always, I appreciate your insights. We're going to keep a close story on this one. Member of Parliament and EFF Deputy Secretary General Mathys just giving us some insight. Where's Paul O'Sullivan? Is he even in the country? Is he ever going to come back to the country? And what does that mean for his testimony and his involvement in allegations leveled against him? 15 minutes after 8.
Can we just talk?
Metro FM Talk with Faith Mangope.
Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.